Tell me I'm going live. Hey, I am live. How are you? This is Domenic Ali coming to you from WSI, and I am so happy to have with you my friend Chris Balon today, who is going to be here from WSI ALM. And Chris is he's joining us today because we're going to talk about our analytics that he has discovered and done a lot of session history on back in 2019, and he's going to help us give us an edge of what's going on. So just to give you a little bit of information about who Chris is a marketing director with ALM. Chris is also an SEO guru. He's got over 10 years of digital marketing experience. He hosts tons of webinars and training sessions and conventions he's spoken at. Chris has been really helpful in helping me learn a lot about SEO and learning a lot of more advanced tips and tricks that I've never even been aware of. And he's been really fantastic, even on the paid search side. But today we bring Chris in to talk to us specifically about analytics insights for 2019. And so, Chris, I'm going to bring you to the stage here. Welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Dom. Thanks for that great introduction as well.
I try my best. I hope I didn't. Well, look at that. I hogged up 2 minutes of time there. Just so, Chris, one of the things that you brought up to us, all of us in the WSI community recently, was this thing about the Analytics Insights 2019 report. A lot of us have access to it, and we can tell our viewers where they can get access at the end of this call. But I thought I really learned a lot in watching you go through this and teaching us what we had to learn from it. And I wanted to kind of talk to you about the importance of analytics today. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about why do you feel it's important for people to look at a benchmark like this and in designing their future campaigns and marketing strategies?
Oh, absolutely. As famously paraphrased by Winston Churchill, those who don't learn from the past are doomed to repeat it. And 2019 was a banner year in terms of the amount of data that's been collected. And ALM, as a production center, has the benefit of working with hundreds of sites and projects in dozens of verticals. And we pulled together insights that we've gained from all of the knowledge and all of the information from the analytics that we have access to, and have broken down the averages and the numbers that we've seen over more than 60 million sessions for the year of 2019. This has really helped set us some fantastic benchmarks and general industry averages, as well as seeing where trends have been leading in 2019 so that we can use data to drive our 2020 strategies. That's really the big push of it.
You know, I think that last point is pretty interesting. And I've already had, so it's only the first week of January, and I've already had half a dozen discussions with clients about this and said, hey, you know what? There's new and returning user statistics you should know about from last year. But also, you know, talking about the mobile device usage and learning, it was staggering for me to see the amount of traffic coming in from mobile versus desktop. And we'll talk about that in a second as a, you know, spoiler alert for people. But, you know, actually one of the best posts, one of the most interesting discussions on that same stat was, I was talking to my son just during the holidays, and I said, hey, what would you qualify as being a really good website, right? Or a bad website even? He goes, you know, that the websites that suck are the ones that I need to pinch and zoom.
Right.
And I was scratching my head. I'm like, wait a minute. His generation doesn't even have the concept of a website on a desktop, right? It's so first nature to them when we talk about mobile first. And I think some of the stats you're going to bring into us here are really important. But we keep talking about 2019, and it's 2020 already. And so Chris, one of the things I'm going to encourage people to do is take a look at this report, download it, and do exactly like you just said, use it as a benchmark. But in about 3 or 4 months, maybe even sooner than that, this story is going to get a little old, don't you think? People say, well, come on, that data is already 2 months old. In digital world, that's history.
Absolutely. And we need to continually monitor analytics information. It's great to see what's happening right now, but it's also great to know what has happened previously. Having access to an entire year's worth of data, and as I mentioned, over 60 million sessions, is powerful average data to have. It's benchmarking data. You mentioned it earlier in the introduction, but information like this helps set a benchmark for us to compare to moving forward. Through 2020, that's going to evolve and that's going to change, and those numbers are going to grow and change even further. But it's nice to know where 2019 ended out in terms of averages, in terms of overall information, so that when we set our plans for 2020, we can take that into account.
Okay, so I already have this on the screen, and I got it primed here for you. I didn't want to show the next slide to people, but so just so people know, this report that we are referring to is almost 35 pages long. There is tons and tons of information, and it's sliced and diced into so many really helpful viewpoints.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I'd like to call out to viewers is that it also has, look at that. The report also has recommendations from experts in the industry. They're saying, okay, one thing we'll show you here is device usage, and here's all the stats. But Chris's team quickly followed up with, what are you going to do? What do we recommend that you do with that data?
So how do you use that practically? Absolutely.
Right, absolutely, which I thought was super important. So Chris, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Let's talk about quickly on the next slide. Tell people a little bit about what this slide is telling us.
I think everybody in the industry and digital marketing in particular is aware of mobile's growing necessity here. This is something that we've known is going on for a while, especially with Google's pushes for mobile first indexing at the outset of 2019, the end of 2018. What a lot of people aren't aware of, whether you're in the industry or not, is just what the averages look like over 2019 for device usage here. We can see pretty handily that 2/3 of all sessions are being driven through mobile right now. That growth is 100% over 2017. So 2017, mobile device usage was inverse of this. We were looking at 30% of sessions in 2017 being from mobile. In just 2 years, that has doubled. And desktop is now pushed down to only 30% of sessions driven across over 60 million sessions analyzed, close to 61 million sessions. That makes it that much more important for us as digital marketing professionals to use this kind of data to leverage with our clients when we're enforcing to them that they need to take their mobile visibility, their mobile presence seriously. I think we've all spoken to clients that say nobody visits us via mobile. Everybody's on their desktop. Everybody that we speak to, whether it be a CMO, whether it be a purchasing agent, whether it be a line manager, they're all on their desktops. It's information like this that says chances are they're on mobile.
Chris, that's amazing. And guys, just so you know, I do have Chris's phone number there, and thing if you want a little bit more about this report. But we'll get into another kind of really interesting aspect that I learned during this report. Chris, you want to talk to us a little bit about the browser data, and I'll bring that up in the screen while you're introducing that for us.
Right, absolutely. Some of the interesting information we saw is in regards to recent trends for what browsers are being used more often. Dom will pull up the information here, but it's important to note that the number one browser in use across all devices, whether it be mobile or desktop, is Chrome right now. And it's interesting to note that Chrome is the number one browser because Chrome has some specific restrictions to it, because it is Google's first party platform. It's their first party software. They, in particular on Chrome, have very strict security regulations when it comes to site display information. Oh. If your site does not have a security certificate
Right.
implemented on it, Chrome will stop you from accessing it. It
Yes.
will say, this site is not secure, turn back now.
And we've all seen that.
Right.
And sadly, I've seen it with some really high-ranking sites. They show up organically very high, and the first thing you do is click on them, and you get that warning, and you're going back right away, right? So,
Absolutely. This might as well be, don't go to this site. You don't want to go here.
right.
It immediately incites a panic with
It's
the user that sees that roadblock, right?
you know what caught me by surprise is that you brought up that example, which is a great example. Don't get me wrong, that's a fantastic point. And everybody should be wary about their SSL certs. And I think a lot of the other search engines are following suit. But one of the things, and you can tell me, and I'm going to put myself on the spot here, with Google Chrome and Google together from a search engine perspective, there's a high level of personalization now that's included, especially when I'm in my browser.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm using that Google Chrome browser and I'm traversing websites and like surfing the internet, tell me how this particular page of information impacts personalization or remarketing, and why is that important?
Well, one of the important things here is that with the personalization that Chrome allows, you can straight out turn off the amount of information that's sent through your browsing habits. As digital marketing professionals and looking at analytics, when you look at a metric like geo information, you see that a large part of that information in analytics is not provided or not set. And that's because a user has told Google, don't share my information, don't share my browsing history. And that's important to us because that's less information that we're able to collect because Google and Chrome are giving users that option. Do you want to share this information?
So from a digital marketing perspective, when users don't turn off that setting, though, does Chrome carry more? Is it more effective now as a digital marketing tool? Because when I'm doing remarketing, Google itself knows more about me as a user than per se if I was using Google.ca or .com from Edge or Internet Explorer.
Right.
Is there a tie there? I don't know, and I'm just asking the question.
And it's agnostic to your browser. That's one of the benefits of Google AdWords and their remarketing program. It's tied to your cookies, not to your browsing habits. So regardless of whether you're using Edge or Firefox or Chrome, as long as you've picked up a cookie, for instance, for your reference to remarketing, you're going to be served the same information. That's going to be agnostic to your browsing habits, but not your browsing history. And that history is taken into account regardless of the browser.
Awesome. So, Chris, I could talk all day, especially about this stuff. And I know this report has so much information. It's so much fun to go through. At least for me, being kind of a data geek in a way.
Me both.
But if there's one tip that you can give people with respect to the analytics and the sample size that you have here, what would that be?
So it would be to use this information as general benchmarking. I think we always get a question from a client like, what should I be aiming for? What should we be looking to hit on our site? It's really difficult to say because every site is different. Every vertical is different. But this is going to give us the largest sample size to just see an internet average overall. And that plays to the odds. That plays to the numbers. If we can see across all of these 61 million sessions, out of all of this data, what are the averages that we can play to? How can we hedge our bets best? And this information says, if you want to hedge those bets, then you're going to ensure that you are mobile optimized, you are optimized for Chrome, you're playing towards that audience, and that you're shooting for some of the other averages within this doc as well. It's the best way to ensure that you're catering to the largest possible audience.
Fantastic. Okay, Chris, thank you very much. What I want to do is show the users one last screen here. And this is sorry, this is our screen, the report on new versus returning users. We are not going to dive into this one because we are a little bit out of time. But what I would encourage everybody to do is to reach out to either Chris or myself and ask about a copy of this report. I would also encourage sit down with either one of us and we can go through, or any WSI consultant for that matter, and we can definitely walk you through why this information is so important and how this could be an integral part of your 2020 blueprint. So definitely ask any one of us for any information about that. But Chris, thank you very much for taking your time. And if anybody's looking to get a hold of Chris's information, you can email him directly at info@almcorp.com. You can give them a call at 1-877-871-0497. And as always, you can find me. You can email me directly at dominic.ali@wsileapdigital.com. Chris, again, thank you very much. This was a great 15 minutes spent for me, and I hope everybody else enjoys it as well.
Fantastic. Thank you for having me, Dom. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in as well.
Right. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Take care.